Good evening, everyone. Would you please find a seat? We're ready to begin. And I'll just say once again, if you are in the audience and you would like to submit a question for the candidates, we have people who are passing out little cards and pencils. You can write down your questions and give them to our question runners. And then the question runners will bring them up here to us. Run them up. So we are still missing one candidate, but we will go ahead and begin. And if she joins us, we'll slip her into the sequence here. So welcome to the forum for a member of Union City, City Council District 1. This forum is sponsored by, as a service to the voters, by the League of Women Voters of Fremont, Newark, and Union City. I am Jane Mueller. I'm a member of the League, and I'm going to be the moderator for this session. The League of Women Voters is nonpartisan, although we do take positions on issues. We study issues that have potential governmental solutions. We study them, develop consensus among our members, and then once we've developed a position, we do take action on it. However, and this is really important for everyone to understand, we never support or oppose any political party or candidate for office. This forum is part of the League's voter service function based on our mission to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation of citizens in government. And the members of the audience, as well as the candidates, are all doing that. Thank you very much. We congratulate you. So here are the ground rules. Our questions are collected from League members and from you in the audience. And because of time constraints, we may not be able to get to all of them. So what we are doing, what my friends Sandy and Evelyn are doing here, we'll be sorting them to be sure that I get the ones that are most frequently asked. So we hit those first. Each candidate has up to 1.5 minutes to answer the questions. And candidates are volunteer timers here. Miriam and Kiri. JC, we'll give you a cue as to when you have 15 seconds left and when your time is up. Please don't feel you have to use the whole 1.5 minutes if you don't want to. Let's see, I will vary the order in which I direct questions to the candidates so that they're not always speaking in the same sequence. And at the end of the forum, each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. So we have drawn numbers to see who goes first. And let me introduce you first to the candidates. Are you ready? Okay, the first one is Erin Robertson. And next to her is Lance Nishihira. And next to her is Wendy Huang. Okay, so let's see. Well, let's start with the first. I'm going to give you all the same first question, and the order in which we drew is Erin gets to go first, followed by Wendy, followed by Lance. So the first question is, what do you, what I actually want to ask is that one about, it's the one everyone wants to answer. Why are you running for this office and what do you hope to be able to accomplish? And let's start with Erin.
Hello, I'm Erin Robertson. I'm running for District 1 City Council. I previously, the reason why I want to run for City Council is like, I feel like service is in my spirit. I've done a lot of service with the community. I've packed lunches and fed homeless. That was like on my own. And then, also doing that with my church. I drove the bus here for several years. For Dumbarton Express. So my job was in service, and previous to that, I worked in paratransit where I transferred people who are handicapped and senior to and from their appointments and wherever they needed to go. So I've done a lot of service, and I think that's what's in my spirit. So that's why I want to be your city council member for District 1.
Thank you. Question number 2 goes to Wendy. Why are you this And I just,
Is it like
wrong
a
button.
minute, 30 seconds?
a minute and 30 seconds.
Okay. So the reason I'm running is that I'm also known as a charity lady. So I have done charity all my life. So you can go to my website and check it out. The reason I'm running for office is that Union City is at a crossroad with an annual deficit of nearly $3 million, rising crimes, higher taxation, and our city should not be a gateway for drugs, nor should it suffer the loss of business opportunities with much needed high-paying jobs. This is why I'm running. This is why I'm fighting. I'm Wendy Huang. I'm a resident of Union City for 26 years, running as the only Asian city councilwoman with an aim to unite with what we have in common and not be divided by our differences. In addition to real estate investing, I had a successful career in high tech as a director of sales and marketing, and later as a director of operations. I work with hundreds of tech executives that make my company profitable. My caring leadership will bring a much needed fresh servitude to the city council, focusing on public safety, economic growth, fiscal responsibility, and most importantly, assuring that residents' voices will be heard regardless of your ethnicity, religious background, and preferences. For the past year, I have successfully advocated for Union City residents, and I will work to bring industries with high-paying jobs, with tax revenues that Union City residents can feel safe and proud of. And this is the reason why I'm running for City Council. Together with your votes, let's make Union City a safe and prosperous city to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we'll hear from Lance Nishihira. Same question.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lance Nishihira. For those of you who know me, you would know that service is really at the center of everything that I do. Whether it was when I was one of the first Eagle Scouts here in Troop 20 here in District 1, or the fact that I was a former Marine, I've always answered the call to serve. And so when my youngest daughter was a kindergartner, she got a little flyer that said that somebody was needed to sit on the school site council. I didn't even know what school site council was, but I said, you know what? I'm going to answer the call as I've always done. And so for the past 10 years, or for the past 18 years, I've been very active in the district, in the school district. And for the last 8 years, I've had the pleasure of being your elected school board member. And so knowing that service is at the core, I'm always asking what is next. And so my youngest daughter, Maya, just graduated from James Logan. Now she's at UC Santa Cruz. And so then it was time for me to reflect on myself and say, what's next? So I rolled up my sleeves and I figured the next thing that I could possibly do is run for city council. I believe I'm the most qualified. I'm the most experienced. I'm the most approachable. And I'd be very grateful to have your vote in November. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, for the next question, the order will be Wendy Huang, Lance Nishihira, and Aaron Robertson. And here is the question. Union City faces tough fiscal challenges. How would you balance the budget and obtain more revenue?
This is one of the questions that people have been asking, and they want to know why, even with the highest taxation, the highest sales tax, we still have a deficit. I have talked to mayors of Fremont, Milpitas. They all have a balanced budget. So first thing I like to do is I need some transparency. I found out it was very difficult to find what items are spent on, the money on. So the first thing is that we have to be transparent and we need to be honest with where all the money goes. And number two is that we have to prioritize spending. We have to defer non-essential spendings. And what are non-essential spendings? Easy, just like a household. Usually the household, running a city is like a person running a home. So I also tell myself I'm the CEO of domestic enterprise. So when the money's not coming in, I look at this, but what needs to go out? It's your rent, it's your food, it's basically what keeps the city going. So that it's basically salaries, and basically keep the function. And then we go down from there. And if the money runs out, we don't have the budgets coming in, we would have to cut it. And number two, how do I bring revenue? With my experience, over a decade experience in tech industries, I negotiate with hundreds of tech executives, negotiating contracts, bringing business, bring revenues. So this is what I'll do. I'll bring industries that will make Union City residents proud, and the tax revenues and also high-paying jobs that will bring this city. People come here to work instead of going out to work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. In the interest of time, I'm going to ask that the audience hold their applause until the end because I'm afraid it's going to slow us down and mean that we get to fewer questions. Lance Nishihara, would you like to answer this question?
Okay, yeah. I think with budgets, it's one thing to think about is there is only a limit to how much you can cut. But if you focus on raising revenue lines, I think that's a great focus of effort. I served back in 2014 through 2016 on Union City's Economic Development Advisory Team. And the thing that you find out there is you end up seeing the types of businesses that come to this community. And I think one of the things that staff and city council really need to do is find ways of being able to establish small businesses in areas of a lot of activity. So for example, when I was on the Economic Development Advisory Team, one of the big efforts was to grow out the Alvarado Merchants Association, right? And I think that's one of those things where we started to have the old Alvarado Merchants Association started to have a lot of legs. And there were several tree lightings. There were quite a few. There was 2 arts and wine festivals. So the question that I've never been able to really answer was, why did that fold? Why did that wind down? That was starting to spark a lot of economic development. That's one thing that I would do if I had more time. I would talk about a lot of other things to grow revenue in the city.
Thank you. Aaron Robertson, same question.
So the question is about helping with financial stability, correct, in the city?
It's how would you balance the city budget?
Balancing the city's budget. One thing that I noticed about Union City is that there's a lot of small businesses here, and I would like to grow that. I would like to have a lot more mom and pop businesses because I once was a mom and pop business, and well, just mom because it was just me. But I'm a licensed esthetician, and I believe in small businesses. And because of the pandemic, it really made my business struggle. And I talked to a lot of the business owners here in the community, and they felt the same way. And so it was lots of uncertainty. And I don't want to ever have to revisit that. I don't want anybody to feel like they're not able to, they have to get an extra side job just so that they can make it with their small business. That's your dream, and I had the same concerns. So I want small businesses to thrive in Union City. I believe that more revenue will be generated by having more businesses come to this community, and we need to do what we can to attract them and not scare them away. I think that with regards to balancing a budget, yeah, cutting the fat is obviously, one of the key things. But we want to invest in projects that are going to help us in the future, is going to create jobs for people in the future and not just throw money away. So, and that's what my plan would be. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, for the next question, the order will be Lance Nishihara, and then Aaron Robertson, and then Wendy Huang. What is your position on ballot measure QQ, the Union City Essential Services Protection Measure?
Yes,
Nishihara.
currently I am supporting Measure QQ. I think it's a very clever way of being able to raise top line revenue to the city without necessarily affecting the residents in any big direct way. I think that businesses develop a lot of the things that businesses do are not just for themselves. They also create ecosystems where people go to eat and to play and to shop and to thrive. So in addition to sparking economic development with the modified business license, the city may be able to generate more revenue for the top line. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron Robertson?
Yes, I'm for anything that's going to generate revenue for the city. As you already know, like I said, I spoke to that. So I'm for Measure Q. And so I think that, the measures, unlike some measures, there's measures that take away from what's already been put into play. And I think that this is not one of them. I think this is one of them that will help us move forward and give the people the results that they seek. Thanks.
Thank you. And Wendy Huang?
I also support Measure QQ. This business license has not been updated since the 1990s. And right now, if we project it to have some businesses that are not paying their fair share, if they pay, they will project it to about $3.5 million tax revenues that will bring into the city, basically fill in the gaps like the annual deficits that we have of nearly $3 million. So that will bring our budgets to be a balanced budget. So I strongly support Measure QQ, and this way that we can get our infrastructure repaired and also for our public safety. And so I support it too. Thank you.
Thank you. For the next question, the order will be Aaron Robertson, Wendy Huang, and Lance Nishihira. And the question is, what are the first three things you want to get done if you win? Ms. Robertson?
Well, the first three things that I would do as your District 1 City Council, I would come in and I would first want to go over what we can do, like a strategic plan on what it is that we want to do going forward for our city. I think if we don't have a plan, we're just going in blindly and we're not doing, our due diligence to the people. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to bring in the suggestions that I've been getting all along from the community and bring those to the city council and let them know that, the city wants to see change. The things that have continued, that have gone on, all the businesses shutting down, the loss of revenue, we got to figure out something to bring more business to this community. So that would be two things. The third thing I think that I would do would be to touch base with my whoever the new mayor is, and make sure that we're aligning on what it is that we want to see for the community. I am open to agreeing and disagreeing. But I think that we should all be on the same team, which is doing what we have to do for the city of Union City. So that's my take on it.
Thank you. Okay, Wendy Huang?
So if I'm elected as a city councilwoman, there are three things that are residents right now are fed up. One is public safety, rising crimes that are being addressed. And number two is a lot of encampment issues. We have compassion for the homeless, but at the same time, we feel that we have been pouring, just the last few years, California has poured in $24 billion just to address the crisis, but it has not been solved. And the problem is actually it's getting worse. So that's the second thing that we have to address. And the third thing is, of course, the economics, how to bring in the type of industries that Union City residents can feel proud of and feel safe that they have this kind of industry in Union City. And so these are three, but before that, we have to be able to work together. Because I know a lot of city council or elected officials all have great plans, all have great, visions, but yet they cannot work together. And I wanted to be a city council woman that has integrity and being honest and being humble and also listen to you people. And I want to be the voice for you. The reason people ask me, wait, Wendy, why you always wear black? Because you know what? I'm going to die to myself. I'm going to be your voice, and I'm going to speak up for you in the city council meetings. And I'm going to prioritize what's most important, because this city is a great city with diversity. So how do we come together? So I come here with the aim to unite with what we have in common and not be divided without differences. And this is how I will start to address those 3 issues. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is Lance Nishihira.
So I think it's an interestingly worded question, because really that focuses on what the candidate is going to do, what the candidate can do, what the city council member to do. The thing to understand is that no council member, no board member can do anything by themselves. It's 5 people up here, 5 people that are going to vote one way or the other. So the important thing to note is Lance Nishihira, are not going to do anything for the council. But as a city council member, the things that I will do is I'll take a look at where we are with our general plan. The one that I was on the general plan advisory committee back in 2016. So I know what the plan looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the plan and say, where are we? Let me just take a quick assessment of where we are. Second thing I'll do is I'll identify a list of projects to figure out, is there a project that's been languishing for a while and it has been taking a while? What are the things that we can do to speed this up and figure out ways to close things up? Now, I'll be that one council member who will say, if there's no objection from the council, I would like to have a standing item added to our agenda so that we can get status on this particular project. Those are the types of things I would do. And number 3, I would identify ways of bringing residents into the conversation. I was just recently at an I Street closure meeting, and I felt the frustration of our residents feeling that they didn't have a voice in the decision. And although I know that may or may not be true, they certainly felt that they weren't involved. And one of the things I'll do is I'll find ways and avenues to be able to engage with the residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And let's see, I don't think I've given you a chance to answer that one yet, have I, Ms. Robertson? You did answer it. Okay. I'm bound to lose track of this once in a while. The next question we have from the audience is in the area of public safety. Would you please comment on the crime rate in Union City and what you think needs to be done about it? And the answer for this is Wendy Huang, Lance Nishihira, and Aaron Robertson.
Okay. Yes, public safety is the #1 concern from my talking to the residents. And it's actually a concern for the entire Bay Area and Californians. So one thing first we have to understand that we do have an issue. You have to acknowledge that there is an issue. And right now what we have is that the reporting is down. Doesn't mean the crime is down. And one thing, so we have seen the dramatic increase in terms of the crime increase since 2021, since the certain business was open, the cannabis things open. Right now, there's issues with break-ins, car break-ins, robberies, and also retail theft. These are the issues that people are just fed up with, that, our law enforcement are doing a great job catching them, but yet it's catch and release. So one thing, these are the things. So first of all, we have to acknowledge we have a problem, and it's not getting better. Just because the reporting is down, that doesn't mean we're any safer at all. So #1 thing is that I want to make reporting easier. That's #1, because I have heard people complain that right now, all these online portals, it's so difficult to file a report. And #2, a lot of them, they can't even speak English. So they just stop filing. So if you stop filing, doesn't mean there's no crime. It's just that this reporting is less. And #2 is that I'm the only candidate in Union City to publicly support Proposition 36. If Prop 47 is not working, I want Prop 36 to give a try. See, I want my law enforcement, my judges, and my district attorney to be colorblind, so that they can persecute the criminals, lock up the criminals, and not the merchandise. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is Mr. Nishihara.
Okay,
Sheriff?
now with public safety, I'm proud to say that I am the only candidate that's been endorsed by the Police Officers Association as well as the International Firefighters Association, Local 55. So if you're thinking about public safety, I'm the candidate. Now, with regard to what my opponent mentioned about crime, you have to ignore the reporting. Well, the bottom line is that since crime has actually steadily been going down, the actual data really is it topped crime over the last 3 reporting years topped out from 200 for persons related crime, dropped from 270 per 100,000 down to 239. Now, with regard to property crimes in the same reporting period, it went from 2929 crimes in 21 to 2370.1. So the narrative around crime going up, I think, is false. We're just I'm looking at the data, and you can't just ignore the data. We have data, we should pay attention to it. So I don't think it's, even though it may feel a certain way, there's always going to be some level of crime. But I think that, looking at the data again, I think that it's on the downtick. It's not the doom and gloom that my opponent claims that it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Would please hold your applause. And
Aaron.
I've lost it again.
That's
Aaron.
okay. So when we're talking about crime, yeah, and then she mentioned that she's the only one that's pro 36. And she might be right. I'm against Prop 36 being passed. I'm against over policing of Black and brown minorities. And I believe that there are alternatives to incarceration. Rehabilitation is one. Also, mental health treatment for people as well. When we're talking about our homeless, a lot of our homeless, that's what they're suffering from is mental illness. And they have a drug addiction problem as well. And so I think that that's what would help get a lot of people the help that they need. And that would actually help the community in keeping crime down, because they're committing property crimes to feed their habit. And we need to be that program. I mean, that proposition would cut funds, $750 million to be exact, that would go towards mental health treatment and rehabilitation. As far as crime in this city, as last I checked, it's actually up. And I believe recently Union City hired 2 more policemen. So that's also another thing. As far as making it easier to report crimes, I'm not really sure that it's difficult to report crimes at this time. But I do believe that the crimes that have been up, and that needs to be addressed.
Thank you. The next question we have, group of questions we have relates to schools. The question is, the school district is looking to pass a ballot measure to support school buildings. Where do you stand on Measure N, and how would you support the school district from the city aspect? And the order of answering for this one will be Lance Nishihara. I'm sorry, I keep doing that. Lance Nishihira, Aaron Robertson, and then Wendy Huang.
Okay, so it should be no secret. I'm definitely for Measure N. I am actually on I'm on the committee. I'm currently on the school board, so I do understand the importance and the needs. We currently have a facilities master plan in the school district of over $1 billion worth of identified needs. So right now I am for Measure N because it will generate about $260 million of local revenue, but matched with Prop 2 at the state level, that could actually have a dollar for dollar match. So we can get close to $500 million. So we might get about halfway to solving, to fixing the facilities gap. We still have, James Logan High School, which will probably be a concentration of a lot of the Measure N money, was built in the 1960s. And it is really spread out, and it's old concrete cinder block construction, and it's really spread out. So it's a very poor use of land use. And anybody like my 12th, when my daughter was in 12th grade, she had to go from one side of Logan to the other side of Logan, and she was constantly trying to beat the clock. If we actually used a little bit more density and maybe went up 1 or 2 flights, we could actually reduce the impact of our footprint while also making the school easier to navigate.
Thank you. Aaron Robertson?
Yes, so I am for measure N, and I am for the measure, of course, because my child went to school here in Union City. My son graduated and went to LSU. So my son's a product of this community, not me. I went to school in Milpitas, but I graduated from Milpitas High. So, you know, the whole point is that I understand that this is something that affects this community greatly, our community, and I believe that the children need to have adequate facilities to be educated. A lot of these facilities you can see there, they are dated. And we have, new technology. We have all these different things that would impact our children greatly and give them a brighter future. So I'm all for that. I'm also for jobs, creating jobs. So that's good when we're doing anything as far as like projects and upgrades to our facilities. So I am for that.
And Wendy Wong?
I'm for any private institutions, donations that want to improve our school buildings. Right now, I'll just give you some statistic. Union City residents per capita income is less than $53,000. That's per person. And right now, our bond measures, these debt services to these individuals, it's about 0.25%, a quarter more to their tax bills. And if you look at your tax bill, it's called debt service. I'm all for, trying to improve our school buildings, any buildings, and that's great. But have we think about every time we need to do something, we're going back to each individual residents to ask them for money. And that's the tax bill is just so I tell you, each per capita income is less than $53,000. At the national level, with the national debt at 35 trillion, and also the unfunded liabilities with Medicare and Social Security, each citizen is responsible for $750,000. That's everybody sitting here, every single one. And if you're a taxpayer, that's nearly $2 million. And that's not including all the taxes at the state level and also at the municipal level with the sales tax. Yes, I'm all for, trying to bring this, school better, make school better. But how about also make the grades better? Thank you.
Thank you. The next question seems, there are a couple of them that seem to be related to land use. How can public spaces be protected and community services be protected? Is there enough space for all the new businesses and the new homes? And we'll start with Ms. Robertson, then Ms. Wong, and then Mr. Nishihira.
Yes, so as some of you may know, part of Union City is actually in the hills. So that's like land that we don't use. So that's like half of this whole territory. So with that, I understand that that's why this question is prompted. We have so little land that we can use. But taking a look around here and even in Fremont, you'll see a lot of retail spaces that are open and vacant. And like I said before, that would be one of my priorities, drawing businesses to our community, bringing new business that can, fill those spaces. Do we have enough room? I believe so, because, the pandemic kind of wiped us out, as far as like parks and everything like that. We have plenty of parks. I think all the parks are awesome. I use the dog parks, but, in the parks that are, around for kids, the skate park here. And I think that, that they're fine. I think that maybe a little bit of upgrade would do. But as far as like businesses, yeah, we have a lot of vacant spaces. So, I think that we would have room for new businesses to come to our community.
Thank you. Ms. Wong?
Union City have lost nearly 7% of population since the last census in 2020. Now the population is about 65,000 people. And on average, Union City has about 3,600 people per square mile. The Alameda County average is 2,200 per square mile. Do you know what is across the Dumbarton Bridge 84? Portola and then West on the other side? It's less than 500 people per square mile. You know the United States average? It's less than 100 per square mile. 100. Why am I giving you this data? People have been complaining to me about the traffic, and not just traffic, the congestion that they're worried about. They're worried about safety. In case there's a natural disasters, people cannot get out. So I wanted to know, if we're losing population right now, why are we cramming? Why are we taking away our open space that we need it? We much need it for our future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nishihira?
All right. So the thing about Union City and most suburban areas in our area, in our region, is that they were developed post-war during the interstate boom, and they sprawled out, and everything was very car-based. And so it was fine when gas was super easy and super cheap, and nobody really had any worries about climate back then. But now we are right now where we are. And the way that I would look at this, because I've looked at the housing element, is right now, Union City wants to be very transit oriented. They want transit oriented development to be close to transit. Now we have a lot of really, really good developments that are currently in place, and I fully support building high density close to transit. And so I think that's strategically where we should focus. We also have a central area, and you all know it, where all the warehouses are. Guess what? Those warehouses bring in very, very little revenue for the city. They also use our resources and our streets. They tear up our streets, and we have to fix them. And they provide very little well-paying, livable wage jobs. So I would look at ways of rezoning that so that we can balance things out, so that we can get beyond where we were in the 1950s and catch up to where we are today.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Robertson?
Hold on, I didn't take it. Okay. As far as the, I think I asked her this question.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I had to think about it. I'm like, hold on.
I'm all right. Okay, let's see, I'm thinking
okay.
about ones that are coming up. Okay, so for the next one, how do you propose we meet our state housing element requirement? And we'll start with Mr. Nishihira, and then Ms. Robertson, and then Ms. Wong.
Okay, I mean, I think we're on our way. And the good news is that we have a lot of shovel-ready projects. We have a lot of things that are currently underway. So as far as how we're going to be achieving that, I think it's putting the pedal to the metal and executing on the plan that we already have, ensuring that that if there's any issues, that we address them very quickly. But in terms of meeting that state requirement, I think that we're already on the way. Now it's just about making sure that we have the team in place that's going to get it done. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Robertson.
Yes, so as far as the housing development projects, yeah, a lot of them are underway. They are overdue and they need to be sped up. And I think that we as a community, we're not any different than any other communities that have projects that are coming down the pipeline. I think they've all had the same issues with, years and years of, projecting like when we're going to be having, have these projects done. And I think one of the projects in particular is the one on 7th Street in Dakota and right by the BART station. And that kind of goes back to, the transition that, we want to have transportation and housing next to each other and kind of build into that model because those are the things that those seem to work. And so a lot of projects are being held up basically. And so if I was elected, that would be one of my main goals is to push that forward. I'm also one of the people who are for building, seeing if we can get a building on your property as far as like a tiny homes or in-law suites so that people can generate revenue who may want to generate, income in their retirement or increase the value of their homes. That would also be a short-term fix to a housing shortage in our community. And a lot of other communities in the Bay Area have also played with that idea as well. So
Thank you. Ms. Wong?
I believe that all housing should be affordable to Californians, especially if you're native to America, to California. Why only 25% is affordable? Why only certain 10% for the new developments are available? That just means that the other 75% is not affordable. Union City, the median home price is over $1 million, while the county average is a 900,000. So why is our homes not affordable? Who defines what affordable means? So at a municipal level, if I'm elected at city council, I'll look at why is our fees are causing, it's making 75% or 90% of the homes not affordable. Well, one things we can look at is fees, regulations, lead time. Because if there takes a long time for even a contractor or a big developer to get their products out there, guess what? It's going to add to the cost of the housing. So why only make 25% affordable? Let's make 100% affordable for Californians. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have time for 2 more questions here. One we have from the audience is, what city services do you believe are essential, especially as it relates to our youth? And we'll start with Ms. Robertson and then Ms. Wong and then Mr. Nishihira.
that's an easy question. I believe transportation because our youth, they have to get around and a lot of them are not licensed drivers. So, and me being a former bus driver in this community, I understand that that is a priority. Making sure that the children have Clipper cards so that they can get in on the BART and the bus and utilize those services. I think that that's very important. As far as other services for the youth, healthcare services, making sure that that information is out there and that it's accessible for our youth so that they can get, treatment if they want to get a flu shot or a COVID shot. They shouldn't have any stumbling blocks in their way. We should be able to provide that as community for our kids. So those are just a couple, but I'll yield the rest of my time to one of my
Okay, thank you. Ms. Wong?
I was a youth before, and a lot of the service that was provided was by private partnership. And I believe that private citizens, private organizations can do a great job, and a lot of time even better job than what city can do. But city can be there watching them, make sure that they are following the law, They're not breaking our Constitution, both at the U.S. Constitution and California Constitution. So I believe in private partnerships, volunteerism, and to get family involved is more important because we cannot separate family members with youth. And that's very important. A lot of times the leadership or the mentorship, it's actually from your own family members. Your own family members has the best interest to bring this child to be a responsible adult. And I believe that as a city, I would find out what private organizations are doing a great job of bringing youth, because they do it voluntarily. So even if they're not doing a good job, they're not going to do it. But for city, it's different. Okay, a city, if you're paying somebody to do that, guess what? That's what they do. So I want to make sure any youth service that's been done is doing a great job, not just because there's a service there. And that's my goal. And then my job is to be the person to make sure that happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nishihira?
Can you rephrase the question one more time?
Yes. What city services do you believe are essential, especially as it relates to our youth?
Okay. I think some of these have already been mentioned, but I will mention transportation again. One of the things that happened to our students, especially in our marginalized community, was the closure of Bernard White Middle School back in 2007. And at the time, one of the main questions was going to be, well, how are our kids going to be able to get to school when they used to have to walk 2 blocks? Now they have to walk 2.5 miles. And so one of the things that I did recently when I was on the school board was I championed the coordination with Union City Transit to bring back bus service to the Dakota area, so it could be a 1-seat bus ride to Cesar Chavez and to Logan. Those are the types of services that I believe are critical to our students, and I have experience on the school board being able to get those types of things done. The other thing, if I have time, I'll talk about is our trails. I think we should start looking at our trails as being more than just recreation, and we should actually think about our trails as transportation infrastructure. We need to find ways of being able to have people feel comfortable riding their bicycles and their e-scooters and whatever else to circulate throughout the city without fear of being plastered by a car. So those are 2 of the big ones, because here's the thing, kids don't drive. And that was a real question that I have, which was, why don't kids walk to school or ride their bike to school anymore? And it becomes circular logic. I don't want my kids being in harm's way. And so I'm going to get in my car, and it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then we just have too many cars on the road. So happy to talk about it more later.
Thank you. Okay, I think we'll have time for this one more question before we go to closing statements. And the question is, please discuss the recent police reorganization in Union City. And we'll go first with Ms. Wong, and then Mr. Nishihira, and then Ms. Robertson.
Unfortunately, I was told that, I cannot talk to city employees about issues because it's election time. So that's one thing, but I have always vowed and defended our police department, our law enforcement. And one thing is that this is what we need, because right now there's rising crimes. And one thing as leaders, we want to stabilize the society, stabilize the community, and policing is important. They are there to make sure that people feel safe. They are there to deter crimes. They are there to make sure that the criminals don't come back. So I support my law enforcement, but I want to make sure that our law enforcement, including the judges and the district attorney, are colorblind when they catch criminals, because victims has no color. There's no color. So my police department has to be colorblind. And this is how they can rebuild trust with the community, and whatever the restructure it is, I support it because I want to make sure that they feel that they are supported by their elected officials. And that's how we can build trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nishihira?
Okay, the question was about the the police department reorganization. So I'll answer that question. I have a lot of experience working with the police department as I was a neighborhood watch lead in my neighborhood in Westview. And I used to work with the cops team back in back in 2014, 2015. There have been a few changes with the COPS program. They were actually, the COPS program was actually defunded. And then just recently with the reorganization that you're talking about, which is, I believe, the district policing model, where each of the different city council districts have their own police representative, I believe it's going to be very positive because you'll have a lot more active engagement, because that's one of the most important things about community policing is having police officers that will engage and will answer the questions. If there are issues that people have with public safety, they know who to call. They can call their local district police captain. And so I'm really in favor of it. Anything that allows our police officers to interact in a positive way with our constituents and our residents, I believe is good. And so I fully support that, because ultimately we want to make sure that our residents feel safe and they feel connected. That's the other thing that I think district policing does. It allows residents to feel a sense of connection, not just with their law enforcement, but also with their community. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Robertson?
Yes. So, as far as the reorganization of, the police force, I'm all for that. There needs to be, more transparency. There also needs to be, more people seeing these people in the community and building trust. And so that's also another part of that. And I know that our police force is a little bit smaller than the other forces in the Bay Area. And I know that the police force, they do what they can to utilize the resources that they have, whether it be, Fremont, having Fremont police come and help with any, crisis situations, or, the sheriff. And I know that they are doing the best that they can with the resources that they have. And as a city council, we're, as your city council member, my job would be to make sure that we maximize those resources, and then see where else that we can do to help them. Because we know that our police force is a little bit smaller, but that shouldn't stop us from having the results that we want, which is lowering crime in our community.
Thank you. Well, we have reached the time for concluding statements, and in this case, each of you has 2 minutes for a concluding statement. We'll start with Mr. Nishihira, and then Ms. Robertson, and finally Ms. Wong.
Okay.
Thank you. Were you all able to hear him? Okay, thank you. Ms. Robertson?
Now I lost track.
Okay, this is your
But yes,
2-minute closing
okay.
statement.
Oh, yeah, I can ramble on, no problem. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is that I am Erin Robertson. I am a candidate for District 1 here, City Council, and I'm definitely looking forward to servicing this community again. Like I said, I've served this particular community in 2019 to 2021 as a city bus driver. And I know doing that, I was able to come face to face with a lot of you here and, serve the community. And I see you guys around, and people reach out and, give me a hug and, because I've taken a lot of people to work and brought them back home. So, and this community is more like a extended family. No one's like in a bubble. Everyone is like, together, and we all work together, and we all feed off of each other. And that's the thing that I appreciate about this community. And I would love to serve this community again. I think that the few things that I do want to talk about when I do get here, because I'm confident that I will, is affordable housing, financial stability, our safety, obviously, the business taxes, like we've discussed, and definitely the homeless crisis that our city is facing. The city has reduced the homeless population, and then the caravan program. I would definitely be interested in making sure that that program is properly funded so that it can go forward and help the city's homeless.
Thank you. Ms. Wang?
Okay. I immigrated from Taiwan 40 years ago at the age of 13. The first 13 years of my life were living under martial law. I understand the importance of speaking up. People have asked me, how do you make our elected leaders accountable? First, you speak up, you show up, you speak up, and you don't give up. After you elected me as the city councilwoman, I want you to continue to show up in a meeting like this. I have been attending city council meeting for nearly 3 years, from when it was from Zoom till recently. The only people that actually comes to the city council meetings were actually special interest groups. So I want you, if I'm elected as leaders, I want you to hold me accountable as your city councilwoman. And I'll remember, I will be your voice. I will speak up for you. And that's the most important thing. And then we have to go back to the basics of our Constitution and also abiding by laws. And that is very important. I graduated from UC Davis. I've been married to my first love for about 30 years. I have 2 boys. They all went to New Haven Unified. They play water polo. And one have just graduated from UCLA and one is in UCLA. I'm grateful for this, the opportunity this country has given me to prosper. But right now, Union City is at a crossroad. With nearly $3 million in deficit, rising crimes, and higher taxation, we're at the choice right now. We have a choice. Who are you going to pick? A school board members that for the past 8 years has an average of below average test scores for New Haven Unified. So which choice will be for you? The choice is yours. Who's going to be your next city council person? Thank you so much.
Thank you. We want to be sure that all voters know about our vote411.org website. It's a comprehensive, nonpartisan online guide to elections covering federal, state, and local races in California. Go to vote411.org. And you can get a personalized ballot that lists all the candidates and issues you'll be asked to decide about, along with links to information about each one of them. You can even check your polling location and create a cheat sheet for yourself if you'd like to take along to your polling place. Thank you to each candidate for your participation in this forum and for your willingness to serve. And thank you to the audience for watching this forum. Please remind your family and your friends to vote no later than November 5th. Thanks.